In this video, we're going to show you how to change the transmission filter, which is inside the transmission cover pan, which is located on the bottom of the vehicle. We're going to drain the transmission fluid from the transmission pan. This happens to have a drain plug in it. It is a 19mm socket. We'll loosen it up. Make sure you have a catch pan underneath. So while I'm letting this continue to drain, I'm going to get an 8mm socket, and I'm just going to start breaking free all 15 pan bolts. The back side, you're probably going to need a little 1/4 inch ratchet to get the ones that are under the cross member. I'm just loosening them up so that I can use like an electric tool, take them off faster. So do this all the way around. So now I'm really down to just a trickle here. I'm going to plug that up because I want to get the pan out of the way, because I have a 1/4 inch ratchet set up with a little 8mm 1/4 inch socket so that I can get back there, and I don't want to get this all over me. All right, so we have 3 bolts, like I said, under this cross member, and a little 1/4 inch 8mm seems to fit in there perfectly. So we can loosen those right up. Just going to see if I can get all of them loosened up. And then the last one is over here in this corner. So the back one over here, there's a nice little cutout in the cross member. I could get up there with an extension and a little swivel 8mm. I'm going to take this one all the way down. I still have 1 bolt holding the front of the pan together, so that way it doesn't drop down. All right, so now I get the back one out. I only have this front one holding the pan up. So give the pan a twist, spin it this way, and then you can take it right down. So now we're going to take down this filter, and it's a T25, that's a Torx bit. You can use a screwdriver style or a socket. I'm going to remove this 1 screw. Fluid will shoot out, so make sure you have a catch pan underneath. Now you're going to just grab that filter from both sides like this and pull down. Make sure the catch pan is located right where that funnel is coming out. Wiggle it back and forth. So with a actual, like an oil filter wrench, you're gonna put it mounted on there and spin it down. Make sure you have a catch pan down below. So now I'm just gonna grab it, spin it off the rest of the way. So when you take the old filter down, grab the new one and compare it. Make sure you have the same thread count and the center plastic piece. And we're going to let that drain before we reinstall the new one. So now we have to take down this gasket seal. This is really important, and it always stays up inside that transmission. So in order to get that down, we're going to put a hook up in and try to pull it down without scouring the side of the aluminum on that transmission. I'm going to try this hook first. Has a little more leverage to it. There we go. Perfect. So now I want to put that seal, the new seal, up inside that transmission. So I found a socket that fits it perfectly, and that is the 18mm socket, chrome. I'm going to try to start it by hand. I don't want it to seat crooked. I want it to try to get it right up. There we go, just like that. If you can, just push it up, or just give it a tap with a hammer, because we want it to seat right into that housing. Hear that sound? That's it bottoming out. Now we're ready to put our filter back up, and that is a T25 Torx bit with a bolt on the back. So I'm just going to put this tube right in that seal, push it up all the way up, just like that. See the mounting hole in the back here, T25. I'm just going to start it. Just like that. And now I'm just going to torque this little filter screw to 25 inch-pounds. And with some clean ATF, I'm just going to put some right on that seal gasket. Take on my spin-on filter, line it up. Now with a clean rag, something you get a good grip on, I'm going to just snug it just like an oil filter. Once it bottoms out, give it a good quarter turn. Now with a wire brush, I'm going to clean the oil pan, the trainee pan, because someone put RTV on it, and that is a no-no. Never do that. Even if you get an aftermarket gasket, the factory gasket on this is reusable, unless it has a tear in it, and it never calls for RTV. Someone put an aftermarket gasket on it, let it do its job, don't ever use RTV. It actually breaks the gasket down faster. It doesn't give it a guarantee seal, it gives it a guarantee failure, is what it does. So I'm going to clean this up before I reinstall it. Make sure your pan's clean. I scraped all that RTV off, and now it's all dried. There's no particles in there. Looks good. I'm going to take the new gasket. I'm going to line it up. Make sure it's all set here, how it sits. Just like that. I'm going to take 4 bolts. I'm going to preset them. Make sure they're easy ones to access. This stops the gasket from folding up, in, and under. This back one could be a little tricky because that's where the difficult spot is. But we'll make sure we get one on the edge. Maybe we'll do this one right here. Now we're going to go over to the transmission and make sure the surface is dry. Take a nice clean rag and wipe that down. So now with another clean rag, I'm just going to clean this area, make sure there's no ATF fluid or grease. I want to make sure it's a nice clean surface. Don't use any chemical sprays. That's not what we want to do. Make sure it's all done. I can grab the pan. I have my socket and ratchet ready. That is an 8mm bolt system. We have to go at an angle, if I remember correctly. How do we put this in there? There it is, right there. Okay. Get my eye on one of them. There it is. The gasket lines up on the rest of the holes. And you can see how it starts to manipulate that gasket on the other holes. But we just want to stop it from falling. And one more over here. Just keep an eye on it the whole time. Make sure you see that gasket lined up. And there's 15 total. And we will torque it to the factory specs when we're ready. And now we're going to torque the pan in a crisscross pattern all the way around to 105 inch-pounds. That's 8mm socket. And you get all 15, just make sure you get all 15. And the good news is the torque wrench with a short socket should fit in the back there. And then the last thing I'm going to torque here is the drain plug, and that's an 18mm socket. And we're going to torque that to 20 foot-pounds. So the transmission dipstick is over here on the passenger side. It's this yellow one. It does say automatic transmission on it. Let's get that right out of the way, and we're gonna put a funnel in, start putting the fluid in. The fluid for this is ATF +4, which is a Chrysler full synthetic. You can nowadays feel safe, do some research, but get an aftermarket full synthetic ATF transmission fluid, and you'll be right there, right in the same ballpark. This says a drain and fill on a filter change is 6.5 quarts. By good habit, I always install about 4.5 to 5 before I put the rest in. I want it to be warmed up, and make sure it requires it. Because if you overfill a transmission, that's just as bad as not filling it at all. So now I have 5 quarts in there. I'm gonna make sure that funnel's drained. I'm gonna put the dipstick back in, start this up. I'm gonna run it. I'm gonna run it for a good 20 minutes to a half hour. And while it's running, I'm gonna connect the actual scanner and reprogram that, reset the procedure on that valve body. So once I reached full temperature, checked my fluid, I was a quart low, actually a quart and a half, so now we are at 6.5 where it says that the capacity is for this transmission. Now we're all set, ready to test drive. When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.